Good morning, Michigan Ultimate Survivor League members. It's I, James L. Seegers, coming to you at 5:43 a.m. on Tuesday. Week 1 of the playoffs is in the books. These podcasts shouldn't be nearly as long as normal because of the fact we don't have nearly as much to go over, but nevertheless, we're going to go over it. We're going to start with the weekly recap. We're going straight to what will now be the moderately fast minutes in sports. We don't know how many it's going to take, but here we go. We're going to go over what happened this weekend, and hopefully these are going to be all in the playoffs, the right kind of recap, the right bracket here. So here we go. So we were worried a little bit about the Jordan's love story, Jordan's version, getting a bad draw, having to play Brady O'Bush, her good friend Ashley Cromwell, coming into town to try and defeat Jordan's story love version, whatever the hell its name is. They did not. Love Story ends up holding on barely thanks to mainly Greg Joseph's inability to score 2 field goals last night as the Bears beat the Vikings last night, which is pretty awesome. And then we have Goff and Balls taking on Chubberts. Goff and Balls, they pulled up 106 points. I mean, there's a lot of high scores this week, people. As Christopher Russell almost won the squares, defeats Dom Valenti 106 to 96, thanks mainly to Derrick Henry coming back and actually performing for once in a while. He hasn't performed much. Josh Endicott's Albany Empire sends Parker Dalton's dad, Dave Dalton, who was upset that he was not nominated for Owner of the Year. Nevertheless, this is why you weren't Owner of the Year, because you couldn't win the playoffs. Not really. 87 to 85. Dak Prescott, a lot of people started him and had a great game. They were very thankful for that. You Thielen, Lucky Punk. Brian David's season continues as he finally puts an end to the impressive year for Aaron Minturn making her debut, even though it was full of controversy, whether who was starting her lineup. Home kids texting her. We believe her. We think she did a great job. She ends the season losing in the first round. That was disappointing, I'm sure, but good year for you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for playing. Your year's not over because the playoff challenge will be back. Aching for a ship. Was aching for some kind of points to be put up, as Gibbs It To Me Baby really did give it to him. Tom Farmer, never count him out. He had a bad end of the year there, kind of backed into the playoffs, but put up 108.43 points over Aching for a Ship. He put up potentially bracket low, 50.43. CJ Stroud's the real deal. That was a tough game to watch. I watched that game. I felt bad for them. That game and the Eagles game both had horrendous officiating, and it's almost to the point where I can't stand watching football anymore. It seems there's a pass interference play on any damn play. I sound like my cousin's ex-husband Gordon complaining about this, but it's like, seems like there's a flag on every play that shouldn't be, and when there is, there isn't. It's BS, and I feel bad for CJ Stroud. I don't feel bad for Bleeding Blue Bombers, though, who put up keeping the Provost legend alive. 106.15 to Gare's Bears. Gary Grant comes in, gets into the playoffs, is nominated for Owner of the Year, but unfortunately got kind of smoked this weekend thanks to Jalen Hurts. Put up a ridiculous performance again. At some point, we have to start giving this guy credit, I guess. Fly, Eagles, fly. Mick DeBoe's team gets sent home, gets grounded, if you will, by the old Tallywhackers. Josh Crampton got in on points, and there's no doubt about it. These people who get in on points, they know what they're doing. They continue to win in the playoffs. 97.89 to 81.58. Jonathan Taylor, their featured player, 16.55 points. And then Honolulu Blues. Paul Brown was the first wild card drawn in, but he was actually the 11th seed to get in based on points or based on record, and he barely missed, but he got in based on the drawing, which is cool. I like to see that. And he put Get Goff My Lawn Chad Lisk out of his misery there, if you will. And that is, I believe, it for that bracket, for what happened there. But, nevertheless, the suck bracket is a thing. Squadrils relocated down to Florida. Maybe that he needed to get rid of the cold air, because Squadrils, the warm air went to his brain, I think, and revived his life for his passion for this league. Put up 105.13 points, season high for him, putting an end to Cloacal Kiss's miserable season. So long, Matty Bradley. Thanks for playing. Bye-bye. Great job by Square. Not such a great season for Cloacal Kiss. Not a great season for any of these people, by the way. It's rather than the suck bracket playing in round 1. Kakambas! 4-7, not a great year for them. That's why they're playing in week 1 of the suck bracket. These are the worst of the worst teams, but they still, no randomizers, which was awesome. Giggle's season is finally put to an end. It was rough. He's up for owner of the year, though, because he was never randomized, never gave up. Bijan Robinson has quite the photo here. Play with Mike Ditka put up 109 points, and he was 3-8. Terrible year. Conservatives, the new counterculture, another Pat Provost team here. Both put up over 100, and Play with Mike Ditka just got the win. Freddie versus Jason. Where were these 100-point performances, by the way, during the regular season, guys? I mean, seriously. Brady's balls. Corey Brewer beats his old pal, Jeff Arbogast, 113-104. Muckers, Scott Muckovitz puts up 110 points over Chad Liege. Everybody's starting Dak Prescott, as they should have. Another Dak Prescott sighting. Malcolm Rodriguez in the middle of my thighs defeats Namtab Knights. That's putting Michael Myers in general out of the league, finally. Ends that brutal season for him. His teams went 2-9 and 3-8. Not a great year for him, but he'll be back. He'll be back and better than ever next year, we hope. $75 million man season comes to an end, as well as Brady's backup, Young Cromwell, puts the hammer down on Craig Monahan. He returned to the league for the first time in a few years, and he did not get the return he wanted. That's for darn sure. The mad scientist beats the Lakers 73-48. Thanks again to Derrick Henry. And that is your weekly recap. That's how that went. Didn't take very long, even though there's just as many games as there normally. No, there's not as many games as there normally is because a bunch of teams had byes. That's right. Hello. Anyway, so that's that. So in case you're wondering how your team did, hopefully you know by now, because otherwise you probably shouldn't be in this league. This is where that is. In case you're wondering how other teams did, that's that. Now we're going to look at the playoff brackets. We're going to start with the MUSL bracket. As I mentioned, Goff and Balls. Christopher Russell defeats Dom Valenti. Their prize is they get to play the number 1 overall seed, which is the Apache Chiefs, which is not the team that was in the driver's seat most of the year. The reason they got the number 1 seed is because they did not put in a bad lineup. They scored 90 points in a meaningless game, got them the number 1 seed. Their reward, get to play Golf and Balls. All these games feature teams that won conferences here, but from here on out. So they all had byes the first round. Love Story, Jordan's version. She beats her good friend Ashley Cromwell. Now she gets to play her good friend Rob Jazerski. She's just leaving a trail of friends in her wake if she wins again. And I will tell you right now, there is a sizable chance. Better Bring Your A Game did not have a great year. He kind of stumbled into the playoffs himself. There is a sizable chance that the Apache Chiefs and Love Story play, verse, as my son says, which I hate, play in the next round, and those two teams seem to always play in the playoffs. And if it happens again, I'm going to call it. This is the number 1 rivalry in MUSL. And then we have Josh Endicott taking on the Hitman, who was in the driver's seat most of the year. The Hitman had the number, I don't know what seed he had overall, but nevertheless, probably 2, maybe 3. Josh Endicott goes on to play the Hitman this week, which is Rob Shaw, winner of the Squares, by the way. Spoiler alert. You Thielen, Lucky Punk, Brian David is going to be playing Puka Nakua Matata, Louis Diana's team. Then round 2, Gibbs It To Me Baby, Tom Farmer taking on Paul Wallenwine. These are 2 of the most lovable guys on the planet, folks. Nobody wants to see either of these teams lose, but someone's going to. And then, it's not far off at all. If FarmersOnly.com, which is Matt Farmer, can defeat Bleeding Blue Bombers, Pat Provost Sr., and Gibbs It To Me Baby can defeat Just Here So I Don't Get Fined, we might have Farmer Bowl 2.0, as Matt Farmer and Tom Farmer could face off in the next round. Josh Crampton defeated Mick DeBow. His reward is getting to go play Jason Taylor of the 8-3 Whispering Eyes. And then Honolulu Blues, Paul Brown taking on Kyle Stoker's You're in Trouble this week. The Suck Bracket has a lot more games. I'm going to go through them quick. Squadrels taking on DeCrush. The Donkey Punchers taking on Providence Power, who I just manhandled a couple weeks ago. Vic in a Box taking on Joel Bills. Dollar Bills, y'all. True Blue Wrecking Crew taking on Ketchup and Mostert. Kakambas taking on Elevator Music. Low Hanging Fruit taking on Hittin' Rugs. Sag Nasties, Notch Above Top Notches taking on Ryan Frazier's Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Sewer Bombs taking on Stafford's Bastards. Play with Mike Ditka gets to play the Clockwork Elves. Joe Buck Yourself taking on Double C's. Dawaiians taking on 99% Luck, 1% Heart. Sticks It In You taking on Digger Phelps. Brady's Balls taking on Football Is Life. My Balzac Ertz taking on What's for Breakfast, Kneecaps and Grits. Concussion Protocol taking on Garrity's Gigolos. Patriots taking on Coming From Behind. The Mad Scientist taking on GBC. Do Even Swift Bro taking on BVC. Cheechki taking on Green 19. Mullen Incorporated taking on Young Bubba's Players. Brady's Backup taking on Nasty Nutria. Mama G out of retirement taking on Steel City Sackers. There's so many games. Ladies and Gentlemen taking on DeMar Hamlin's Booster Shot. Prime Time taking on Everybody Loves Khalif Raymond, last year's champ, who finds himself in the round 2 of the Suck Bracket this year. Malcolm Rodriguez in the middle of my thighs taking on Josh Crampton's Tenacious D. Your Mother Likes My Defense, speaking of D's, taking on Two Girlies, One Cup. This thing never ends. Suck It taking on Hanging Out from Mr. Hernandez. The Black Hole taking on Hurt So Good. Muckers taking on The Nuts. I don't do cocaine, I just like the smell of it. Taking on Password is Taco. A lot of taking on Chop It Off. And Super Original taking on Hernandez Hitman. That is your Suck Bracket Round 2. Plenty of games this week. So everybody who did not lose this week, submit a lineup, okay? If you notice, it says randomizer reminder. Couple things on that. Number one, I did go through and clear out teams who submitted lineups who didn't have to this week. But this week, there are. Remember. In the MUSL bracket, the top tier bracket, the playoff bracket for all the money. If you don't submit a lineup at this point, you're the worst human being on the planet, and you probably deserve to get an automatic loss, but there are no automatic losses in this, so there is a randomizer in the top. But in the bottom bracket, there is no randomizer. So if you get to the bottom, you don't submit a lineup, you will just get zeros. And last year, don't do this, please. Just submit a lineup. You have a chance to win free entry into next year, so it is worth playing for sure. But last year, we had a couple of teams that were randomizers on randomizers, and they lost, and obviously no one won. So the team they're playing next week got a free win. But again, Suck Bracket. There will be people who don't submit lineups. There's no doubt about it, and the other team will get automatic wins. That does not happen in the main bracket. So now we're gonna look at the All Muscle team. This is something I decided to do when I was at my cousin's house because I was bored in the morning because everyone was sleeping and it was 5 degrees in the house. So we're gonna go through here real quick. First of all, I just want to say that your Muscle MVP is Raheem Mostert, who started by 83 people, put up 1550 points, highest in the league by a significant margin. Your All Muscle team quarterback is Josh Allen, who started by 7. This is as of week 11, by the way. So last week's numbers don't count from the playoffs. This is regular season. 77 starts, 1,361 points. Raheem Mostert, we already talked about him. We have wide receiver 1, Tyreek Hill, so 2 Dolphins here. Started by 76 people, put up 1191. 80 starts for A.J. Brown, wide receiver 2. Didn't get as many points as Tyreek Hill, and he was started by 4 more people, so that's why Tyreek Hill has number 1. The flex position, this is number 3 overall, or 4th overall, is Christian McCaffrey. Started by 66 people is all, so that means a lot of people have him left to use in the playoffs here. Of course, he was hurt for some of the year. 1242. The tight end, this is the one that surprised me. Sam Laporta, rookie, Lions. No more TJ Hawkinson. We don't need him. Sam Laporta, in a rookie debut here, gets the All Muscle Tight End Award. The kicker is Brandon Aubrey. Nobody cares. And then the defense is the Cleveland Browns. 1,249. Good for 3rd overall. I believe overall went Raheem Mostert, Josh Allen, the Browns, and then Christian McCaffrey. So real quick, I just want to touch on this. If you haven't seen the link, that should be somewhere here. Maybe not. Maybe that's why nobody's voted on it. The link should be somewhere in the old Facebook page. Oh, here it is right here. Cast your vote for the MUSL 2023 Danny Award late winner. These are your nominees as selected by yours truly. Sorry. Brian Benor, primetime, started off 0-4. Finished season 6-5, was never randomized and was ridiculed a bit early, but totally righted the ship mid-season and won 6 of the last 7 games. Rob Shaw, he's nominated because he led the league most of the year. Michael Myers, this guy, I mean, it's called Owner of the Year, not Team of the Year, okay? Owner of the Year, Michael Myers, started off 0-8, ended up finishing 1-9 or 2-9, I think. Never got randomized. Louis Diana was the first person to win his conference, and he was actually randomized once on his birthday, no less. But first team win in the conference with 3 weeks to go. That says something. Cody Cole, he was ridiculed relentlessly at the beginning of the year because I like making fun of him. He doesn't watch podcasts and he doesn't have Facebook. But still, he ended up turning around and ended up 5-6. So that was good. Gary Grant inherited a team that was abandoned twice, made the playoffs. So what if it was luck? Nobody cares. And then Cale Seagraves ended the season with the number 1 overall seed and being 9-2. So cast your vote. There's a link here, and also if you go to your home page on your Ultimate Survivor League, there will be a thing. Now this is not going to look right because I have it right here, but only 13 of you jokers have voted so far. So get in there and vote, please. I'm going to make it a thing again. We have 96 people in this league. 13. This is like a real election turnout. Are you kidding me? Get out there and vote. I'm going to send it to people. Make you vote. If you don't vote, you're banned. Not really. But you should do your part. Do your democratic duty and vote, okay? So I do want to touch on the fact that this season is not over because for those of you who lost this week or those who lost this next week, you still have the playoff challenge, which happens after the NFL regular season ends. I'll be talking about that every week just to remind people. Super Squares, I don't have it pulled up for some reason, but Rob Shaw won because the category is most passing yards. The Jaguars and I believe the Cowboys were who had it. Whatever, it's on the thing. And Jolly Palooza's on here because for 2 reasons. And one, like to shameless plug my own event that's happened this weekend. Christmas sale down at the Commonwealth. It's free, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's when the show goes. But also wanted to state on here that because of that, we're not going to be doing our regular Lions party at the store because we won't be there. Now, some people might be there. Yeah, we're going to figure that out. My son might be there. He might host it. We'll see. But I won't be there and Cassandra won't be there. So I think Lennon probably will host it down there. So Rob Shaw and the crew and whoever wants to come out and hang out with Lennon, hopefully the Lions can come back to reality. Or maybe they're in reality now and actually win a game. But there you go. Just over 18 minutes for this one. Submit your lineups. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving. We'll talk to you next week.